What's up, everybody? It is I, Photo Dave, and it is time for the Thursday night Toypixx live stream. Now, for tonight's live stream, I thought we'd do something a little different. I think a lot of people in the chat are into comics. I know, well, at least used to be into comics. We're into comic characters because I haven't picked up a comic since, let's see, I read Last Ronin, but I did that electronically. I haven't picked up a comic since Powers of 10, House of X, when Jonathan Hickman started writing the X-Men for sort of their Krakoa era. And then I quickly stopped reading after getting a couple issues into after that stuff. But the point is, I think a lot of us are going to give a crap about what Mattel does with the DC license. And I know that a lot of these companies will suggest something, but it's not specific enough. Like the companies will come back and say things like, well, what do you mean? And so I thought tonight we'd draft a letter. We'd figure out what all the things are that we want out of whatever Mattel's DC collectors line is going to be, so we could be 1000% crystal clear on what it is we want. And yes, I will be sure to post this all over social media when we're done. And if I can figure out how to do it and get it to the right people, I'll also be sending it to Mattel. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to do this practically so that we're not just making noises on the internet. We're going to try and actually make this kind of thing happen. And it's just one letter. So because I'll put it on all the social media accounts, everybody can feel free to add their 2 cents in those comments. But before we get into that, I do want to show you real quick. If any of you are on Patreon, hang on, let's see. See if I've got it. I gotta have it here somewhere. Here it is. This is this month's, the voting for February's Patreon contest right now. And so, hang on, I grabbed the wrong, oh no, guys, I grabbed the wrong image. One day, I swear, I will not suck at the whole thing when it comes to the whole live streaming deal. Okay, here we go. I have the correct image. Now, if you're on Patreon, let's see, StreamYard changed some things, so I've got to figure things out kind of on the fly, as if I was having any trouble before or not. If you're on the Toypixx Patreon if you're actually a member of the Toypixx Patreon, these are the 3 images. So check out the Patreon page. Just comment below this post with the number that you want to see win. It's just voting. It's voting because in Michigan, I can't do a spin the wheel thing. So here at least we can actually cast our votes and say, hey, this is the one we want to see. Now, before I really get cracking here, leave this open. And then I also, let me see here. I've been absolutely terrible at showing the Patreon freebies recently. So I want to just show you guys real quickly what I have on the Patreon page for anybody to come in and grab and download. Now, if you want to be part of this month's photo contest or any future ones, you have to join the Grande tier, but I think it's worth it. I usually come up with a pretty sweet figure. This month's winner is going to get Leatherneck because, as we all know, nothing says couples like a man and his mustache. So let me share this real quick. We'll stop this screen. And then I'm going to go to the Patreon page just so you guys can see what it is. Here's that latest post. It's actually the latest post. So if you go over to the Toypixx Patreon and you're a member of the Patreon, you just vote in here. There you go. We've already got a couple. You just have to put the number. Feel free to comment as well, but you don't have to get crazy. So that's what that one is. Now, this was today's Patreon freebie. It's a gas cloud effect. And what I thought of as far as uses would be like galaxy, like stardust, that kind of thing. Maybe a chemical plant, maybe somewhere on an alien planet, things like that. So what you would do is in your Photoshop file, you would paste this above your main image layer and you would set it to either screen or linear dodge, whatever effect you want to go with. And then here's just a basic alley background that if you wanted to print it, you could probably print it at 100 DPI, you could probably fit it on about a 30-inch wide piece of paper. But what I would recommend is actually putting it on a monitor. I think that's where you're going to get the best results. And then I've got webbing, a web effect here. And I made that for both the Photoshop crowd and the people that don't have Photoshop. So on the left with the black background, that's the same deal as the dust effect I just showed you, or the gas cloud, where you would put it on your Photoshop file, set it to screen or linear dodge, whatever effect you're looking for, and you could have webs on your picture. The PNG here it's a transparent PNG, so you would simply copy this and just put it somewhere on any other kind of file you've got. It's pretty easy stuff. And when I'm able to do that for a JPEG or for a Photoshop file and for other types of files, I do it. It's just I can't always pull it off. And then here we go with an alien invasion background. So that was it. I'm not trying to pimp the Patreon. I'm trying to help anybody out with any photos they want to take, they want to shoot. Again, all this stuff I've shown you here is totally free. So at any time, just go to the Toypixx Patreon, give whatever you see here that you dig a download. And now, with all of that out of the way, finally, some might say, let's head to the chat and see how everybody's doing. All right. Sci-fi greetings and toytations, everyone. Later tonight, the Four Horsemen will reveal the details about the Mythic Legion's Green Dragon. I already pre-ordered CoverGirl and 3 firemen from BBTS. Nice. Congrats, Sci-Fi. Got the... Ooh. Got the Tusk Engineer from Cosmic Legions and Beluilith from the Necronominous Wave. Both are very good, but Beluilith is the ghoul of my dreams. So many accessories and pets. Also, if you pre-ordered, Sci-Fi, you leave us hanging with these comments. You commenter. See, Rev Bread. Oh, the bread car from Ramen Toy. They're starting to ship out. Also, as far as pre-orders go, I'm first in line for Dr. Doom's hooded helmet. Enough said before anyone grabs their caffeinated drink of Dr. Pepper. Caffeinated beveraging. Oh no, push the buttons, Dave. Let's see, choice, give Blackberry Dr. Pepper. Oh man. Oh, I was so close with the blackberry. I mean, I didn't get the blackberry, but I had the Dr. Pepper right. Peach Crush, Orange Cream Coke. I have tried that. That is delectable. Coca-Cola or Vanilla Sprite a try with either French vanilla ice cream or your favorite libations to add a little fizz and flavor. You know, I've got some natural vanilla. Anybody that's in the Midwest, and I think it's only Midwest. Let me know if I'm wrong. Breyer's ice cream. They used to have what they called French vanilla. They changed that to natural vanilla. Or no, I'm sorry, it was vanilla bean. But vanilla bean is now simply called natural vanilla. It's amazing. And now I'm thinking a natural vanilla Dr. Pepper float. We'll see how much of this I drink throughout the live stream. Sci-Fi George, those sound amazing. And that Coke, I highly recommend that as well. Back to you, Dave. Thank you, Sci-Fi. I appreciate it, man. All right. We have Spaded One, the good Mr. McDysentery himself. I'm here for the punch and pie. I got nothing, but watch. I probably got that right. I did not get that right. I'm certain of it. Ray, what's going on, man? Hello, Dave. Hope you've been well. I have been grand, Ray. I've been slammed, like Grand Slam. Anybody up for breakfast at Denny's? I've been crazy busy for the past 6 or 7 weeks. I think this weekend is the weekend I have to be crazy busy. And then I can breathe and get back to doing what I need to do for Toypixx. Spaded one. Rule number one, only one Batman a year. Guideline, spaded one. Guideline. Now, what do I got? I have three Batmans. Okay. And that's been since 2020. So I'm okay. I'm okay so far. But it's a good rule. It is a good rule because, especially for Mattel, I don't know though. I don't know. When it comes to Mattel, I'm thinking that we're going to get more than one Batman a year, sadly. Let's see. I've done this on other streams. Really, Ray? Awesome, man. I want to know what those other streams did as well. Like, what did they come up with? Star. Oh, I've admitted it publicly. I've penned an essay on the fundamental differences between, let's see, Igu and Ukla. Nice. Poor Star. Star felt he earned a bad nerd shirt, I think, the other day. But Star, I've earned them all. So you can't out bad nerd me, my friend. See, I forwarded a letter of sincere apology and deepest regret to the current owners of Hanna-Barbera properties. Can I come back to the show now, Dave? Absolutely, Star. You are always welcome, man. That's quality stuff. Ray, fully articulated, neck like the Joe figures, butterfly and shoulder, double elbow. Let's see, wrist joint like Mofex, diaphragm cut and waist ball joint, hip and drop down hip, double knee, ankle, and pivot. Ooh, Ray, I think you and I are starting to think along the same lines here. I like all those calls. Excellent paint apps and sculpt. Keep the same sculptor for face to keep the line looking consistent. Soft goods where applicable. Wired capes and soft goods. Oh, we'll get chatting on this for sure. This will be fun. I want to make sure that we're kind of looking at Mattel's strengths as well. So tonight, in the middle of all this, we're going to look at some Mattel figures because, frankly, I don't care about Motu and I don't care about wrestling. But there are some Motu figures that they've done that I thought, wow, those are pretty cool, specifically in their Masterverse line. And I was looking at some wrestling figures today and knowing the prices of those things, especially compared to a line like Marvel Legends, where wrestling figures, they have to have a license as well, right? I keep thinking, man, they come with a good spread of accessories, so maybe we've got something here, but we'll see. Ray, 4 sets of hands. If not 2 or 3 hands, then 2 or 3 face plates. See, I think we're gonna have to get a little less crazy, Ray. I want to try and help them out. I want to keep them in the $25 to $30 price point. Let's see. Bye bye, McFly. Maddie's back, and there's gonna be trouble. Oh no. Oh no. You know what? I saw that there was some kind of Mattel something going on today. Let's see. Let's keep this party moving. What do we got? What do we got? Ooh, Star went crazy. Still heartbroken that Edge Runners hasn't shipped yet. Sniff. But Star, we've seen the reviews. Edge Runners looks amazing. So I think you're going to be all set. You're going to be stoked. Vanilla bean and root beer, the best. Nice. Ooh, I do love a root beer float. And I almost got a root beer today. Though I've had Coke floats, they're as good. I wonder how a Dr. Pepper one is. Natural vanilla was my nickname in college. You too? I kid. So many nicknames. I got Monkey Boy. Anyway, Star, Batman or Batman? See, I would think it's Batman's because it's the same character, just multiples of them. Like if you said Batman, I would assume you're thinking Azrael, Bruce, and Dick. I still freak out when I get to say that. All right, let's see here. Hello, what's going on, Paul? Good to see you, man. Spaded one. I want to see more companies do their hands in softer plastic like Mezco or Storm Collectibles. Much better feel when swapping. Ooh, I haven't gotten any figures with soft plastic hands. It sounds, never mind. Good Lord, Dave. Stop with the mines, man. Glankatron, what's going on, man? We just need Mattel to give characters appropriate hands. No more trigger fingers on speedsters or Batmans. Let's see. We will keep with the buttons and the pushing and the sparring. Ray, there's potential, Dave. Mattel isn't as bad as some people. Oh, there's absolutely potential. And when I was looking at some of their stuff today, I was like, wow, they have done some stuff. Some people say, gotcha, Ray. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there. And then we're going to look, like I said, because I want to see what everybody else. Let's see. Ha ha ha. I'm shooting for the stars, Dave. Let's see. Jaden Storm Arena can give you this stuff. Surely a multi billion-dollar can as well. I agree, Star. Especially, I've heard things like Capcom being a pretty costly license. Now, I don't know that it's as costly as, say, Disney licenses. If I got you, Ray, I got you. I don't know if it's as costly as Disney licenses, and I don't know. I've never heard what Warner's charges or Warner Brothers. So we'll have to look at some of this stuff. We'll have to keep some of that in mind while we're chatting. Yeah, I really like the Masterverse stuff, so I have faith in them. Nice, nice. Yeah, there's a lot of that that looks really good. Let's see, Ray is right, but would Mattel see those franchises as too small? How big does a franchise have to be for Mattel to see it as worthwhile? Well, I'd say Barbie, Hot Wheels, and DC. I'd say it's got to be pretty large, although they own Barbie and Hot Wheels. And let's not forget when all the talk is around, oh, McFarlane lost the license, Mattel took blah, blah. One of the things that the people at Mattel cited as being a reason for, or the people at Warner Brothers cited as being a reason for Mattel is it's just a lot more distribution. Like it's a much larger area of distribution. It sounds like McFarlane is mostly in the US and Mattel can do worldwide. So we gotta think when we're talking about Mattel versus McFarlane, it might not even be an issue of one they think is better than the other. It could simply be distribution. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't tell them what we want. Yeah, DC's big. All right, let's get this here. And we'll start looking at some of this stuff. The shotgun approach of Nacelle worries me. Star Trek, Expanse, Biker Mice, Moo Mesa, 5POA, Sectars, Roboforce, cartoons, etc. You know, I haven't looked that much at Nacelle, but that does sound like an awful lot to try and tackle for what I would say is a fairly young company. I don't know. I mean, I think Jada is kind of hitting the sweet spot. I know sometimes it feels like it's a trickle release schedule, and it is, by the way. I did see today that pre-orders for Scooby-Doo Wave 1 goes up tomorrow. That's Shaggy, the Creeper, and the Mummy. And the faces, if you guys haven't seen it, for the Creeper and the Mummy are hilarious. They're great. And I don't mean like the Creeper face and the Mummy face, but the human faces under them. They're fantastic. And it looks like Shaggy's articulation. Yeah, and that's kind of part of what we're going to talk about tonight as well. Now, I want to go to, let's go to Entertainment Earth. I want to go to, what is it? Is it WWE that Mattel's making? Let me see here. Yeah, one thing that bugs me about Entertainment Earth, and I could probably fix this by going to BBTS, is that wow, look at that. Is that the only ones I could really find are in lots. They're not selling them individually. But why don't we click on something here for 118.99? Let me make sure, let me go back and make sure I'm sharing this screen. By the way, if something you see is in stock, use code Toypixx, you'll get money off. It's good times. Anyway, so this is just the first one I saw pop up. So this is their WWE stuff. I don't know anything about wrestling, guys. My apologies. Although I recognize Hulk Hogan, and is that Mean Gene? I don't even know. I have no idea. I watched at a time when the only characters I knew were Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Miss Elizabeth, and I think Mean Gene. And that was it. And I watched it for like a year or two, only when I was at my cousin's place, which wasn't very often. So that's the extent of my wrestling knowledge. But I want to go through and look at these figures. I want to kind of play to Mattel's strengths a little bit. Doesn't look awful. It looks like we could do, what do we got here? Some cleaner, maybe a little. On the other hand, that's just kind of how it's bent, it looks like. I was going to say a little bit cleaner elbows would be good, but I don't think that's as bad as I was thinking when I first saw it. Looks like the articulation's okay. All right, this looks like a fairly basic body we've got going here, but I can't tell. It doesn't look like we've got much as far as butterfly joints. We have waist cuts, it looks like. But we also have, look at all those hands. Look at all these accessories. Plus, it's a Build-A-Figure. I assume you're building Mean Gene there, if I'm correct. So there's a lot of hands. What I would do here to make it photogenic, you don't even need all those sets of hands. And I know all of you are sitting there gasping right now. I think that what's happening right now is Jada is making the perfect figures as far as photography. Now, Storm Arena in this price range, Storm Arena might overtake Jada, not in quantity, but as far as what we see, what we can get depending on their quality. Because the one thing I've noticed about Storm Arena is while they are a couple bucks more, I believe they're $26.99 as opposed to $24.99, that makes it so they can throw in an extra set of hands in there. So they've got 3 total sets of hands instead of 2, which Jada has, plus all the other stuff Jada has. And I think right now, with what I know of Jada, that is the perfect pack out. That's nearly the perfect articulation scheme. I might add toe joints, but that wouldn't even be necessary to me. That would be something I would see as being perfection when it comes to the Mattel DC Universe or whatever DC Multiverse they're going to call it. 1/12 scale line, obviously. But yeah, I'm not seeing butterfly joints, so they're not playing to that so much. See if Hulkster here has some butterfly joints. They're doing a good job covering the fact that they don't. This guy looks familiar. Okay. All right, let's see what you guys are saying right now, and we'll jump back in there. And we'll look at Masterverse too. I want to see that a lot more. Yep, there we go. I was thinking Street Fighter, SF2, boom, boom, shakalaka. As cool as the other side of the pillow. Storm really seems to have jumped up a gear with the amount of Capcom reveals the other day. I saw that. That is ridiculous. And I almost kind of want to jump in a little bit there. I might get the Canon Ryu and see what happens after that. What? We're doing the do tomorrow? Awesome. What? We are doing the do tomorrow. Those pre-orders are going up, man. Go find some of those pictures. It's amazing. Crystal Ball Walmart Collectors Con 3/13, 7 a.m. PST. Pre-orders open. So that's 10 a.m. EST. Man, when it comes to Walmart exclusives, and I'm going to be honest, even though Crystal Ball doesn't come with an extra set of hands, that figure is glorious. And he's got 1 extra hand, so that kind of counts, right? I love the look of that thing, so I'll be tempted, but it's a Walmart exclusive, which means I'll likely never see it. I'll likely, even if I were on the website at the right time to order it, my order would probably get canceled. So I basically treat Walmart exclusives around me like eBay exclusives. Hopefully it's not that way this time. But yeah, that's going to be cool. See, Paul at Ray, man. Yep. Awesome. Love it when you guys are chatting with the people. I like it a lot. Oh, all right. Oh, they have to see the fandom Jada is built off of Street Fighter. Plus, the talk for Storm Arena is crazy already. I hope so. I hope so. But I've seen other arguments saying basically, you know what? I don't know. Let's see. Yep. Pre orders for the first three. Whew. They are glorious. I cannot wait. That Mean Gene looks pretty bad. Yeah, the face was rough. I don't know about the rest. See, that's my problem. It's been so long since I've seen it. I probably couldn't even tell you. The face, you could look at it and go, that just looks a little off to me, but I don't know why. Let's see. Ooh, maybe they Vita bite. I straight up don't like the WWE stuff. The ankles are super weird. Hulk Hogan is straight up orange. In fairness, straight or spaded one, wasn't Hulk Hogan straight up orange anyway? Let's see. I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, it's been a bit. Let's see. Frank, fantastic. Okay, that's who the announcer is. Thank you, Paul. All right, let's see. NECA has a pre-order two-pack of Van Helsing Splinter and Shredder Dracula with free shipping within the US. Really? Oh, I didn't know that. I want Mattel to complete teams and not take 3+ years to do so. Also, 6-inch scale. Sci-fi. I don't know if you guys watch Displaying Model Behavior. That's one of the ones that's approved on my viewing list just because Dave seems like such a fun dude. He just seems like a nice guy. So when he talks about other scales outside of 112th, he just kind of goes over them, talks about them and everything. But when he gets back to 112th, he calls it the Lord scale, which I find both hilarious and accurate. So definitely 6-inch is what we're after. I mean, that I think goes without saying. I still wonder how much money McFarlane lost himself and Warner Brothers by not going 6-inch. Let's see, that's the most frightening fig I've ever seen. That's terrifying. So unreal or so surreal. Things are scary. Things are scary. Mr. Matson Storm doesn't know how to finish a line. Oh, that's true. That's true. But it is crazy how they've shown so many already. It's like they know that that's their criticism. They know that that's their the people have their number and that is in fact their number and they might be working to change that number. We'll see. Star. Honestly, I prefer Jada's plastic to Storm. Storm seems more like an ABS type. I like Jada's softer, more flexible plastic. Seems more durable. There is something about that. Like I'll talk. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about my last Ronin Raphael. He feels like an action figure, whereas most of NECA's turtle line, they feel a little harder, like a little more brittle, like they would be easier to break. But the last Ronin Raph doesn't feel that way. So I completely get what you're saying, Star. I just don't have the other figure to compare or the other figures. I don't own a Storm, and I'm waiting for people to review the Storm Arena figures before I jump on the train. Same here. Same here, Ray. I would love it if Anthony's Customs got that a little sooner than later. Just really did hit this insane sweet spot. I've got some really nice figures, and Jada is just as, if not more fun than any of them. Yep. Yeah, Jada it's crazy. Spaded one. Okay, I got my first Storm yesterday. Paul Phoenix. Actually, really dig the way they do their figs. Nice. That's necessary. I do want to check one out. But Jada does everything at 25, so it's not even a fair fight. That's what I'm saying. And I want to make sure that we're giving, since Jada's doing 25 to 30 in their Street Fighter line, I want to make sure that we're allowing Mattel that same 25 to 30. Because we know by the time they start releasing stuff, prices are probably going to go up again. So we wanna make sure we're being realistic, and we also know that Mattel's not going to go below 25 bucks because they know people are willing to pay at least 25 bucks. Agreed. Good idea to hold off final judgment and after until after reviews. Gonna give them a chance. I don't know why I went into crazy voice there, but I do that from time to time, it seems. Oh, yeah, I watched Dave from DMB. Nice sci fi. Yeah, dude seems like a genuinely good dude. Let's see. Harry will work for action figures. Sweet, sweet. Plastic crack. Hey, hey, you got any of that plastic, man? That's terrible. Don't ever do that. Let's see, Storm Arena is only 30. By the time, let's see, what is it? Is it 26.99 or 27.99 on BBTS? And by the time you pay shipping, depending on the figure, you're paying tax plus $4. But if it's pile of loot, that $4 gets spread out over however many figures you're, you know, ordering. Order 100 figures and it's only 4 cents shipping for each. It's crazy like that. The Storm Arena stuff is going to be super cool to get in hand. The plastic they use feels very different, and I can't imagine it working in a smaller scale without issues. Well, it'll be really interesting because that's what I've heard about Storm Arena is that the plastic, especially the torso, is different. But I hadn't heard so much about other stuff. Okay, so if we're playing to their strengths, it doesn't look like, let's see here. I don't think the sculpting is bad. I think we're looking at fairly decent leg articulation. We're looking at decent arms. We're looking at, I mean, their hand options are great. I don't know what to think about their faces, guys, because I just don't do enough. I don't know enough about wrestling. So I think what I'm going to do, hold on, let me go. There was a female wrestler here too, and I want to see if they've got better pictures of her so we can see how, let's see. That doesn't look terrible as far as proportions are concerned. Like the arms, I mean, remember, all wrestlers should basically look like bricks. And her arms, her shoulders are wide enough. They look pretty good. We've got, this looks good here, where you've got kind of the V taper, the hips coming out. I think, you all know what I'm going to say here. There should be a ball joint here instead of a waist cut. It looks like that's a pretty decent form there. Okay, let's get out of the wrestling, guys. And let's now go to Masterverse. Specifically, what are the ones? What's it called? Oh, what is the line? Let's see. It's the one that's kind of it's kind of concept art of what the Masters of the Universe could have been. Let's see. Masters of the Universe, Masterverse. I can't remember. Is it New Eternia? Is that what yeah, New Eternia, I think is what I'm thinking of. Maybe. Let's look at Beastman here real quick. Ooh, that's that's not a bad sculpt. I mean, their sculpting seems to be pretty good. Okay, not a whole lot there. Obviously, we would want more hands, but we're also looking at a figure that's 23.99. So if they made some adjustments there as far as sculpt is concerned, as far as articulation, basically you add butterfly joints because, well, I shouldn't say that. I couldn't tell in those photos, but you do that and you add that ball peg waist. And I know these are closer to 1/10 scale, but look at what they're doing. Now, obviously, this is their own property, so they're good to go with all that. Let's check out Randor here because this should be a more realistically styled face. That doesn't look too bad either. Like facially, that doesn't look bad at all. Now, obviously, I'm not seeing butterfly joints here either. This is just me not knowing my Motu or my Mattel figure construction. But it looks to me like at least when they're, so when I think of comic book figures, right, then I tend to think the sculptors almost have to make up what they look like because there's so many different looks facially of the same character throughout comic history that the sculptor, excuse me, for the action figure needs to just try and figure out their take on it and hope that it's a lot of people's take. And I think with Randor here, I think they show that they can do a really good human looking face that's also a little cartoony, which I kind of think's a sweet spot when we're talking action figures. But your mileage may vary there, and that'll just depend on what everybody says when we get drafting this letter. Now, let's look at Evil Lynn here. Again, $23.99. Facially, I don't think that's too bad. Looks like they could have used slightly better paint apps on the eyes, but sculpt wise, like the right side here, well, right of the image, left side of her, looks pretty good. This one just looks maybe a little off, like maybe it's more that they're missing black paint under there, I think. But yeah, we definitely need double joints on somebody like Lenny here. But she's got an accessory. She's got a couple extra sets of hands. Cloth goods cape. I doubt it's wired, so those are things we'll have to talk about. Well, I don't know. It would be nice to see more. Yeah, I don't think it's wired. That looks like it was just kind of somebody maybe punched their thumb into here a little bit to let it flex back just a touch. But I don't think the sculpting is all that bad, to be very honest. So at least I think they've got the sculpting pretty good. Let's see what everybody else is saying, and then we'll take a look at some stuff. We'll get cracking on that letter too. Big C Richie, what's up, man? They raised the prices just barely from $26.99 to $29.99. So that's interesting. Oh, Storm Arena went up, huh? Okay, okay. I wonder if it's for larger figures. Did they raise it on, let's see. No, because really the only ones they put up for pre-order are Ryu, Ken, and Baki Hanma, aren't they? Spaded one. Storm covers their upper torso in a soft rubber overlay. There's joints hidden under it. No clue how that would carry over to the Lord scale, or if they're just going to do standard plastic torsos. Yeah, that's something. I think that's where a lot of us are at. That's where a lot of the curiosity is. How is the current state of Storm's engineering? I heard a lot of breakage issues before, but that was many years ago. I don't know, Star. Whenever I've heard Anthony's Customs talk about it, it seems to me that he doesn't have complaints like that. The last of the Time Lords is here. What's up, Anton? Good to see you, man. But I'm not sure. Like I said, I just don't know things. New Eternia. Awesome, Sci-Fi. Thank you. I figured it out, kind of. I figured it out because I was looking at words on the screen. Anton, did anyone see that Toy Fair had biker mice from Mars? Charlie. I might have. I kind of stunk at looking at the nacelle stuff. But I saw a couple things. I've had no interest in Motu, but those Mondo Motu figs were really tempting. They just looked so good. I know, Star. I'm with you. I'm with you across the board on that. I have no real interest in Motu either. But yeah, I saw those and I just thought, oh, those are neato. That'll be interesting. Jason Momoa? Oh no, what did I say? What did I say to bring up Momoa? See, I love the Masterverse line. Nice, Ray. Who was it I saw? I saw a Snout Spout and I just thought, that's amazing. I noticed that Evil Lynn and Tila have the same type of armor. They did in the originals as well. I do remember that. They were basically, I think, at least their torsos were the same. I think their bodies were basically the same, but I could be wrong. I'm not Pixel Dan. I am not a Motu scholar by any means. Ray, I don't understand why they got rid of the double elbow on the female. They'll have to make that, they'll have to change that when it comes to their DC line, I think, for sure. The subtleties of the feminine musculature sculpt on that fig is quite nice. That's what I'm saying. I think that their sculpts aren't too bad. Spaded one star. I've only got the one, but the storm I do have feels remarkably solid. It's got weight to it, and things move really smooth. Double joints really should give more range, though. Okay. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else as far as what is, for all of you that are into Masterverse, I can look up most anything. I mean, we can find most anything on the Google machine. So if you can think of a figure that's just amazing that we can look at that you think would translate well to what we want to see from a DC line, let me know what it is and I'll use the Google machine and go find it. Aside from that, I'm going to bust open Word here, which will take me a minute because I stink at all things on this computer. Let's see. I've got a bunch of files actually saved in the Toypixx folder, like the desktop folder, because all the image files are on a hard drive. But let's see here. Oh, open, you fiend. Word's taking a while. In the meantime, see if we've got any suggestions. Anton, is anyone watching Invincible? The Invincible War started. That was a really good episode. I have not been watching Invincible, Anton. I've been terrible. I have seen the first two episodes of Daredevil, though. That was really cool. I was a big fan of that. Okay, let's see. Ooh, new document. Ladies and gentlemen, I got there. I got there all on my own. All right, let's increase this ever so slightly size-wise. I'll keep going. We'll see if there were any suggestions. Then we'll get to the Word doc. Clankatron. I slowed down on the Motu stuff. They all look nice, but I haven't gotten any in a good while. That's okay. You've got more than I do. I have 2 Origins He-Mans, one the Origins, one the cartoon, and 2 Origins Skeletor. Same thing. Spaded one. Okay, I may have to revisit them here pretty soon. The Storm figures. Yeah, I gotta see what we got going with that. Mofex Nightfall Batman. Just do that for $30, Mattel. You know what? If they did a quality Neil Adams Batman, oh man, that would be amazing. I've heard that the April O'Neil, who's dressed as the sorceress from Masters of the Universe, yep, I've seen that on the the Turtles Motu crossover. That's pretty crazy. I like a lot of those looks. I just didn't get into them. I might be interested in Motu if they ever received an interpretation or style similar to Frank Frazetta's depictions of Conan's world. That would be insane. Oh, that would be crazy. It would be rad, but it would be crazy. Oh, and Mattel needs to get a comic Wonder Woman ASAP. That is one of those things I think we need to talk about, Spaded One, for sure. We might even come up with a wave of 4, a wave of 5, and a wave of 6. We don't know how many characters they're going to have in each wave, but we might say, here are the first 4 characters we want to see, or the first 5, or the first 6. That might be, I mean, we want to be as thorough as possible on this. We want to give them the roadmap to at least start the line. Like, obviously, character selection as it moves ahead isn't going to be up to us. It's going to be up to what they think is popular, what they think is going to sell. But I think we can all tell them what's going to sell in the first wave or so. So I think that's important for us to start with, too. Clankatron, actually, I just remembered they showed a new Masterverse Panther that I'm for sure getting. Nice. I didn't even look at that stuff. That's how terrible I am with this stuff. You'd have to be blind not to see how good the first two Daredevil eps are. that's that's fair on a couple levels there, sci-fi. Very nice. Spade one. I want to see Mattel do Super Friends. Super Friends needs to get some love. Here's something that's interesting, Spaded one. Super Friends was Hanna-Barbera. And we all know Jada's going for Hanna-Barbera. But Mattel's got DC. But Jada has Warner Brothers Hanna-Barbera. Ooh, the thought plickens, my friends. Okay, let's do this. Roll up bloody nail. We're going to stop this screen. I'm just going to go into accents, it seems, for the fun of it. We're going to open this bad boy up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is, we shall call this an open letter to Mattel. Dope. There we go. Oh no, that was a cap too. I have one of my shifts gets stuck. It's no fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to sit here and draft the letter perfectly, like from the beginning to the end. We're not going to sit here and say, to whom it may concern, blah, 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 and all that just yet. Right now, let's get the bullet points down. What are the things that we want out of, let's call them $25 to $30 figures, a $25 to $30 collector's line? In fact, I guess we'll just start that right now. What are the things we want from a line that costs that much that we know? I mean, we know they're going to charge somewhere in that ballpark, and we know that we know that they're going to be trying to compete with Marvel Legends. They have to. There's no other option. One thing that before we really get cracking, I want to bring this up. In almost everything, a hack is to look at the very best person in whatever industry and either do that or try and top it. So in the $25 to $30 range right now, I would say the lines we're looking at that are as good as it gets are Jada, anything Jada, like Jada Street Fighter 2 specifically, but let's be honest, most anything Jada, and G.I. Joe Classified are probably about the best out there. Storm Arena, I would put there, but none of us have those in our hands yet. So we can't really say anything about that because we don't have those things. So that's what I'm thinking is we want to go at least as good as what Jada's doing, or at least as good as what Hasbro's doing with their G.I. Joe Classified line. However, to add one more caveat to it, I think it should be Street Fighter that we're referencing because G.I. Joe is not a licensed property, whereas Street Fighter is a licensed property. So let's start from there and see what we've got with suggestions. All right, I want to see a depiction of Scooby-Doo as a Rottweiler or pit bull. The episodes might function a bit differently. He would need a lot more than Scooby snacks. He would need limbs, I'm thinking. And that might not be suitable for kids' TV. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice, like the star graphic, I saw that and I'm like, oh, gotta go back in time. I'd be lying if I said I'm not thinking about a series of those new Star Trek figs. The nacelle? I gotta say, I listened to, who was it that was interviewing him? Was it Pixel Dan? I was listening to a lot of the Toy Fair coverage. And the dude just sounds super stoked about the stuff they're doing. And that's always cool to see. Anton, okay, if they're going to do DC, they should do the Justice Society, the Justice League of America, the Super Friends, the Superman family, and the Batman family. All right, Anton. I think we're all with you with all of that. But why don't we start the conversation kind of along those lines? Let's come up with a wave of 4, a wave of 5, and a wave of 6. At $25 for a new line with that kind of money behind it, I expect Marvel Legends with worse paint and cloth capes. I mean, sadly, that might be what we get. But like I said, at worst, going from McFarlane to Mattel is a lateral move for me because I'm not buying McFarlane. And if Mattel doesn't make figures up to snuff, I won't buy them either. Let's see. I think McFarlane is going to do those. Yes, I think it sounds like he's trying to work something out, doesn't it, Ray? Kind of like, I mean, what was it? JC brought up the fact that McFarlane owns, or it sounds like he owns DC Direct. So he should be able, like he's starting Super Friends anyway. He should be able to continue that depending on what he works out. I don't know. It's gonna be tricky. Yes, Jada is a great model to look up to. I think so. I think so. I'd gladly pay $29.99 for a premium DC line from Mattel. I would too, the Toy Odyssey. And thank you for stopping by, man. Much appreciated. Okay, I think that focusing on simple quality would be the right thing to start with. Solid joints, engineered independently. Looking at you, NECA, with a durable, high quality plastic. You know, who has, I'll tell you, I have those Origins figures, and those feel like good, solid toys. I don't know if construction is a problem with Mattel. If the plastic is good or bad, that's the only frame of reference I have to go by. They're good. In fact, never mind. I also have their Amber collection, the first Velociraptor they made. And I love that dinosaur. And none of those feel like they're fragile figures. None of them feel like they have bad quality plastic. But I haven't gotten anything recently. So if any of you have Mattel stuff, let me know. What do you think of the feel of them as action figures? All right, dear corporate overlords of greed and narcissism. I mean, we probably should be a little sweeter than that. I mean, corporate overlords is fine, but we got to watch the other stuff. Okay, Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and of course, you have to have at least one bad guy. So the Joker. I think let's throw those names in there. What we'll do, Batman, Robin, Batgirl. Here's what I'm thinking. We'll throw them in there, Anton. I think that's a good wave one assortment. We're going to say Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Joker. Okay. I'm going to add two here, Superman, Wonder Woman. And I would make the argument, and you guys let me know if you think I'm thinking correctly here. I would make the argument that if we were looking at a single, like a four-figure wave, okay? Dope. I would make the argument that the ones we're going to see are the ones that they would be happiest to make, probably, honestly, in this order. You know what? Superman might be super popular by then. Let's do this. I would make the argument that if they were going to do a wave of four, this is what that wave should be. Are there any disagreements with that wave of four, that first wave there? We've got all heavy hitters, which I know sometimes they're a little hesitant to do, but at the same time, that would totally sell through. So if you totally sell through on the heavy hitters, now people are thinking, well, shoot, we have three members of the Justice League. Now we need them to release Green Lantern and Flash and Cyborg and Hawk Girl and whoever, right? And so then you just build off these main characters. And with Joker, we got to release all the Batman rogues. And whoa, we got the Batman rogues. Now we got to jump into Lex Luthor and we got to jump into Cheetah and all that stuff. So I would argue this is if we did a wave of 4 figures, this is what would work out. Let me know if you guys think that's right. All right. That's phase one. Phase two, Commissioner Gordon, Harvey Bullock, Barbara Gordon, and the Riddler. I think we're going too deep. I think that those are too deep a cut for the initial wave. Or wave two, even, honestly. I think that might be towards the end of year one. Maybe we get one or two of those. Spaded one. These are going to be the WWE figures with capes. The WWE figs are remarkably good. I just really don't like a couple of things. They do basic soft goods, and every character is a different size. See, that's the problem. They've got to know that one of the problems with McFarlane is how badly they all scaled with each other. Mattel, please hold off on all the weird 3-legged dogs in the form of characters like underwater Arctic Blast Batman with the radioactive armor stuff. Please stick to the characters we all know. Star, are you saying you don't want them to continue the Jokerized trend? Good Lord, man, what kind of monster are you? Clankatron, that seems about right. They need to start with at least Batman and or Superman to get the ball rolling. And that's something to consider too, Clankatron. Did I go too heavy for the first wave? Is it something where they might think, you know what, we like them all and we're going to use them all, but maybe we want Superman in the second wave or something like that, you know? Spaded one, Apache Chief, Black Vulcan, Eldorado, Samurai. Do it, Mattel. Do it. I mean, hey, if they hold on to the license long enough and if we're fans enough of what they do, they might get there. Too much at once. I wondered that, Ray. Yeah. So let's see. No HasLabs or Kickstarters for vehicles. That would be nice. That would be very nice. But let's, instead of telling them what we don't want, let's tell them what we do want and then worry about what we don't want at the end. I think they need to spread them out a bit. Okay. Star, years ago, someone did a line of figs called Batman's Rogues Gallery, all Batman villains in the asylum. Thought that was a stellar idea. I'd love to see something like that again. That would be amazing. And a lot of his villains are pretty popular. I just don't see that being its own line. Maybe, depending on how well the line's received. Spaded one. They should market their basic carded Wonder Woman as coming with an included invisible jet. They should. And it's just Wonder Woman and just a huge empty box to the right of her. That would be hilarious. And because she came with an invisible jet, that's a vehicle. But you get that vehicle for free in this enormous box. Like, it's $25 for a figure and a vehicle. That is awesome. I think that would be sweet. Okay, so I think you guys are right. Let's take, do we want, I'm trying to think, do we want Batman and Joker in the same wave? I don't think we want, I think you guys are right. Either Batman or Superman goes, and sadly, I think that's Superman that goes. Because as much as I love Superman, Batman is easily the most popular DC character right now. The only thing that might change that is the upcoming Superman movie. But let's go on the information we have today instead of what could happen with that movie. And now, okay, so we have Batman, we have Joker, we have Wonder Woman. I would argue that we've got 3 A-tier figures there. Should we remove another one of these for the 4-figure wave and then try and add a couple B tiers? And if we did remove them, are we removing Joker or Wonder Woman? What do you guys think here? Hi, folks. Join late. Eric, that is okay, man. You are always welcome. Did we discuss what scale this line will be? Mattel doesn't have anything 6-inch right now. Closest thing is Motu Origins Cartoon Collection. This is true. That's probably what we should have started with. We have not yet discussed scale. but I'm going to type that up right now. We're just going to say 112 scale. And I have to think, I genuinely believe that it was the wrong choice by a mile to go 1/10 scale for what McFarlane did with DC Multiverse, because every other superhero line out there is 1/12. And I think if you want to try and entice people into getting into your line, you want them to get into a line that can already play with their other stuff. Like, it makes sense to me that 1/12 is what we want to do. And Mattel, if anybody has the budget to change scales ever so slightly, it's Mattel. So I think 1/12 scale is something we definitely have to bring up. And I also think it's something that's a no brainer. So thanks for throwing that in there, sir. I didn't even think about putting it up yet. Sci-fi, cutaway diodes of the Batcave, giant penny, giant playing card, T-Rex, etc. Also, Fortress of Solitude. See, if they could do diodes of all that stuff, that would be amazing. But let's kick them off with, I think if they're going to do anything vehicle wise, it's going to end up having to be a Batmobile. I don't think they're going to gamble on diodes just yet. I think if they go with a vehicle, we're definitely looking at that. Couldn't they just sell an empty box for the invisible jet? It would be a real money saver. You know what? That's true, Star. You have one 2-pack of Wonder Woman with the invisible jet for 25, 30 bucks, whatever. And then the box with the invisible jet is just, I don't know, you make it like $5. I don't know. Or you price it as a normal vehicle. So you make that 50. So you're getting a real deal if you get Wonder Woman with the invisible jet. Anton. Okay, then we'll stick with the popular ones: the Flash, Cyborg, and make them have them. Let's see, Medalist Hinge, Green Lantern, and Sinestro. Help me out here, Anton. Medalist Hinge. Ah, must push buttons. Yes, a carded Wonder Woman in a box designed as invisible jet. You know what? That would be awesome. It's a clear box that you can fold into an invisible jet. Four-figure wave, two heroes, two villains, keep numbers between good guys and bad guys in proportion. I like the thought of that, Star, but I think good guys tend to sell better than bad guys. I could be wrong. So if you guys think I'm wrong, because we are looking at a collector's line here instead of a kid's line. But something else to think about, I think there's probably been more heroes in DC that are well known than there are villains. So just keep all that stuff in mind, and seriously, stop me as I go and say, no, no, what about this? Clankatron, I'd imagine they'll be similar in size with the Masterverse figures. I just think that's a bad move. Most folks are thinking it will be in the vein of their WWE line, which is nice, but sometimes they get the scale / height wrong on some wrestlers, and those are actual people with recorded heights. Yeah, we talked about that. That is one thing that I think Mattel has to know, that McFarlane, that was a big criticism of McFarlane's, is the scale was wrong. 112 scale, tell you what, 112 scale / proper scale between characters. Let's make sure that's in there. All right, now help me out here, guys. We've got wave 1 with 4 figures: Batman, Joker, Wonder Woman. Who's the fourth, or who's the third and fourth? And should I remove Joker or Wonder Woman? We know they're going to start with Batman. Ray, yeah, I think you go with Superman first. Oh, do you? Okay. Let's see. Any other takers on Superman first? Ray, but that's just me. I wonder, like, if we waited to get this to Mattel till after the Superman movie, they'll already be in production. I mean, they might already be drawing this stuff up now. They probably are, to be honest. So that's why I want to work with what we know at the present instead of what might be the future, you know? They got to have Superman in Wave 1, especially with movie coming out. See, by the time they release though, that's going to be that's going to be probably, I think they said middle of the year. So that's going to be around a year after the movie's out. So I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of this. Superman maybe goes in a 5 or 6 figure wave. I'm not sure, guys. Also, should probably consider economy of mold use. How many characters could come from the same mold? Start with something like that might be more attractive to Mattel to commit to. That's fair. I mean, they could do most of the male figures in DC, like most of the super muscular guys. I would say Aquaman, Superman, Green Lantern, Batman, probably not the Flash, maybe even not Green Lantern, but Superman, Aquaman, and Batman could all share the same torso. Aquaman would have some differences, obviously, and they could split their torso halves so you can mold on the S and you could mold on the bat symbol. But maybe you don't have to. I don't know. But that's a good call, Star. We'll see what we can play with there. That's why I think Green Lantern would be a good early figure. Lots of opportunity for reuse that a lot of people want. That might be, I think that's a good call, Clankatron. We'll throw Green Lantern in there too, because he could be, I think his body could double as Flash as well. For Mattel, it's going to come down to money. What's the investment to return ratio? Yep. That's why we want to go with A's and B's in the first line, in the first wave. Batman, Superman, Bizarro. Ooh, Bizarro is kind of a cool choice. Green Lantern, Aquaman, etc. could all have the same base mold. You know what we could do? Star. What if, okay, guys, let's try this. Bizarro is a great name to throw out there. Let's put Bizarro in place of Joker. And then for like, maybe we'll do, no, let's not do a wave two, but I'll tell you what I'm thinking here, okay? Just so you know. I am thinking we put a Batman hero, obviously here it's Batman, with a Superman villain, and then Wonder Woman and Green Lantern. I think that's a pretty good call, honestly. So we get Batman, Bizarro, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. So what we've done is we put a Batman hero, a Superman villain, then we've got Wonder Woman and Green Lantern for our Justice League needs. In the next wave, we would have Superman for, Bizarro to throw down with, and we'd have Joker for Batman to throw down with. So people at least have to keep paying attention in that vein. And then maybe the female is Chitara or Cheetah. Sorry, I got Thundercats and DC confused. So maybe the female figure is Cheetah. And then with Green Lantern, we start with the reuse game and just make the Flash. Or we could even do Sinestro for another villain. But I think we go Flash. And then to carry on the thing, Wave 3 would have maybe Sinestro. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of jump it up like that so people just keep paying attention to what's going on. What do you guys think of this for a 4-figure Wave 1? Eric, if they do an Alex Toth line, they could totally all share same body mold. I'd love that modern super articulation. A lot of people like the DC UC, which used a lot of the same body, obviously. I didn't like them for that aspect, not because they were the same body. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I'd like a lot more variation than they had, but because at the time, even at the time they were being made, their articulation was way outdated. It's kind of how I feel about Marvel Legends today. Like their articulation is way outdated. If you do this photo, Dave, you better have wave 2 with Superman coming out real soon after wave 1. That's fair. I totally get it, Eric. I do. But like just going with the information we have now is what I want to work with because we don't know. I mean, I hope Superman does incredibly well. I want Superman, like I've talked about before, Superman versus Fantastic Four. If Fantastic Four flops, it's going to suck. It's going to be miserable. I'll be sad about it. But if Superman flops, I'm going to be super bummed. Like, I want Superman. If Fantastic Four is great, awesome. I want it to be great. I'm not saying that. But I need Superman to be great. So it's that kind of thing. I just don't know. We're not playing with that information just yet. That's the only reason. That Bizarro would be such a tease. It would. It would. See? And you just lead off with Bizarro, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Batman. I think that's a pretty good wave one of four figures. What would be your dream art style for this line? Oh, man. Ah, probably John Byrne or Jim Lee, honestly. And it might be John Byrne because Mofex has Jim Lee, you know? I don't know. Gotta run. We'll watch replay. Thanks for the fun topic. No problem, Eric. Enjoy the night, man. And you betcha. Groovy me. The world needs Superman more than ever, so I hope it does well. So do I. I need it to do well. I need that to be a killer movie. I'm particular to soft goods capes on my superheroes. The figs, made well obviously, could really excel with just a simple addition of awesome capes or minor accents to the costumes. Yeah, like, you know what? Let's add in right now. Because Jada can do it, Mattel should be able to swing this. And I'm going to leave a space for wave one. You know what? When's the last time we saw a 5-figure wave? Let's make this 6 figures. And we'll put Batman, Zorro, Wonder Woman, GL. And then let's get some use out of the Green Lantern mold right away. What are we thinking? Who would be somebody besides Flash? We don't want a big time Blue Beetle. There we go. There's one. Now we got use out of that right away. Now, who would we give? Let's see. Batman, Aquaman. Or what we've done here is we've created just totally a heroes wave with the Joker or with Bizarro in there. Give me another villain to round out this wave, guys. Oh, nice. John Byrne. Yep. I think a Byrne style would be really cool. Star, include unmasked heads like Jada's doing with her Scooby-Doo villains. 1000%. 1000%, Star. But that would be kind of where applicable, you know? Let's see. I love Black Manta. Wait a sec. We get Black Manta in there. Hang on. And then that teases Aquaman, which might actually be more reuse of Bizarro's upper body. Because Aquaman's a big dude. So it could be that you've got Black Manta here, which teases Aquaman, which can use Bizarro's body. Chitara can use a lot of Wonder Woman. GL and Blue Beetle are the same mold. Black Manta. Ooh, I wonder, that would almost need to be like they'd need to do a repaint to Black Manta, I think. But then Batman has the same body that we'll give to Superman with just minor touch ups, like maybe, for instance, the forearms will have to be different, the lower legs would have to be different, and possibly since the chest and the back tend to be two halves, I would like the chest to be different just where the symbol is. But I think that's a solid wave one from with 4 figures or 6 figures. I think that's great. Ooh, I think we got something there. Ooh, Brainiac's a good call too. Let's leave Brainiac. Brainiac would be another one that you'd have to almost do, depending on the version of Brainiac you went with. You'd almost have to do that as a straight repaint. But we already have a Superman villain, so let's skip Brainiac. All right, I'm just going to drop my Wave 1 wish list. Wave 1, Superman, Saturn Girl, Gorilla Grodd, the Sandman, aka Dream of the Endless, aka Morpheus. Ray, I love that. Like, I love that Wave 1. I'm trying to be realistic about what Mattel will do. I want them to hit every single one of those figures as long as they're making these great. The various lanterns in different colors. You know, that is one thing, Star. You make one Green Lantern, like you use that body. You get Hal Jordan, you get John Stewart, you get Guy Gardner, you get, oh, what was the other? Oh. He's a fairly recent Green Lantern, and I can't remember who it is. That's something else, though. What is it? Is it Jessica Cruz that might be able to use the Wonder Woman body as well? Except probably not. It would be nice. I will tell you something Mofex does that I actually don't like is all their women are pretty much the same height. And Storm should be 5'11, Jean Grey should be 5'7. So there should be more differentiation between those two than there is. I would like Mattel, if we can give them enough repaint stuff here, I would like them to be able to do different heights on their female figures. They'll do it on their male figures, but a lot of lines don't do it on their female figures. Ray, I'm fully aware my ground is reaching. Don't ever type that your grodd is reaching again, Ray. Glegatron, Simon Bat, that's it. Maybe even Power Ring. Jessica will need a different mold. Yeah, that was his name. I couldn't remember. Star, no one's mentioned Lex Luthor yet. I love General Zod, Man of Steel. I want a fig reminiscent of that look. Oh man, that would be sweet. That would be a great figure, and that's another Superman villain. They might have to spread out the Superman villains just because there aren't that many that are super well known. Then the Alien Lanterns ones will mostly just need different heads. That's true. You could use the Bizarro body for Kilowog, but then you're right. Like this, just using, I think this Green Lantern body could be insane. Like that could be crazy for reuse potential. Right? Not that I like encouraging that, but that's going to help keep the prices down, hopefully. All right, so I think we've got a fair Wave 1. And if any of you disagree, let me know in the comments. So what we've got right now is $25 to $30, 112 scale / proper scale between characters. We've got Wave 1 of 4 figures and Wave 1 of 6 figures. And in the letter, we should probably bring up reuse potential. Okay. All right, so we've got that. Now, as far as construction, and when I say construction, I'm talking points of articulation. I'm talking what do we want to see these figures do? I'm talking cloth goods versus plastic goods as far as capes are concerned and all that stuff. My guess is since McFarlane was able to do this at a larger size, my thought is we definitely need wired capes. Anybody disagree with that, or is that spot on? And that might be the wrong way to word this, but we'll figure out. We'll word play here. Clinkatron, that was a problem that McFarlane didn't use the lantern molds enough. Yeah, he could have had a huge lantern core. I mean, it wasn't huge or it wasn't small, but he could have gone much bigger. If not for scale, give me Bane and the Scarecrow. Oh, Star, Bane. Oh, that's a good call. And depending on how big they make Bizarro, Bane could share some parts from that as well. Clankatron, the lanterns are just like the Seekers and Transformers. Just keep pumping out different colors and we'll buy them all. Man, I would say, yeah, green. What? Let's see. Green Lantern, Sinestro Core. I mean, what is it? They're up to like 7 lantern colors, aren't they? Let's see. Whoa, if it's 5 to 6 figure wave to add to my wish list, Amazo and Starfire. Oh man. Starfire. I think Wonder Woman and Starfire could use a lot of the same stuff, but I want to be careful about just absolutely there are enough differences between Wonder Woman and Starfire where they could be the same size, but there's enough differences where maybe things like overlays, maybe that's something we should type in. Overlay gauntlets, wrist guards, etc. Wrist guard, gauntlet, etc., overlays, that kind of thing, because that would help them keep the same bodies, but make them different enough. G.I. Joe does a really good job with that. See, is Mattel known for typically having butterfly joints? Not from what I saw, and that's a problem. They'll have to do that. They have to, I mean, I don't know. From a collector's standpoint, I would think they would look and decide we got to try and top what other people are doing, or at least do what the best people are doing. Because we're the ones picking this stuff up, and there are a lot of options out there. So hopefully they'll work on engineering those. They haven't used it as far as I know. I'm not an expert on that brand, though. Yeah, that's where I'm at, Ray. From what we saw when we were looking at their WWE figures, I think I just don't know. And their multiverse figures. What about Build-A-Figures? What do you guys think of Build-A-Figures? Do you guys think that's something they should do? I always saw it as a scummy marketing tactic. But if we don't do Build-A-Figures, we seem to not really have a chance of getting C and D list characters. So it depends on what people want out of this line. I wasn't sure. I can't remember the last time I bought a Mattel fig. Yeah, it's been a bit. Star, I prefer Robot Brainiac to Alien Brainiac. Star, I 1000% agree with you. And that's why I was sitting back going, oh man, that'd be one. I don't know where the reuse potential is there, aside from just repainting it, like making it a regular color version for stores and then chroming it out for an exclusive or something. Mattel will have to update their range of articulation if they expect to compete. Too many great companies out there with improved articulation for Mattel to ignore it. That's what I think too, but Hasbro continues to ignore it and people continue to buy Marvel Legends. So they'll be looking at that too. Do you mean the superpowers Brainiac from the 80s? Ray, I don't know if that's what he means, but that's exactly what I was picturing when he said that. Yep, that's the one. Awesome. Yep, that's why I was like, "Ooh, man, I think they'd have to do. I don't think they could reuse that." Okay, so this is what we're up to so far, gang. We've got $25 to $30, 112 scale slash proper scale between characters. We've got suggestions for wave one, whether it's a 4-figure or 6-figure wave. And then we called out reuse potential for wave selections. We'll talk about that later. We should probably also call out, well, how would we word, let's see, hero slash villain in one wave, then opposites in next wave. I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but like we were saying, Batman in this wave and maybe wave two would be Joker. Maybe we have to do a wave two just to further explain this. But then Bizarro in wave one, Superman in wave two, Wonder Woman in wave one, Cheetah in wave three or wave two, that kind of thing. So I got to figure out how to word that. Let's see, wired capes, wrist guard, gauntlet, wrist guards, gauntlets, etc. overlays. And then I think when we're talking about construction of the figures, I think if we're talking, why don't we put Jada Toys, Street Fighter 2, articulation. I missed the R. Good Lord, man. Now, is everybody good with that? Because I was thinking Street Fighter 2 articulation, possibly. And I don't even think this is necessary, but I am going to put possibly with toe hinge. So let me know, do you guys think a toe hinge is necessary or is that dependent on the figure? What's up with that? Or do you think we just leave the toe hinge out of it? And do you agree with me that it should be mostly as far as Street Fighter 2 Jada articulation? Do you think that that's the way to go? I think it's the way to go. I think we need wired capes, wrist guards, gauntlets. I almost want to say use that softer plastic like that Ryu. That's me when I was 10 talking about Street Fighter that Ryu uses as far as his gi's concerned. I almost want to suggest using that somewhere. I also, let's see, construction articulation. Let's get into accessories. And I want you guys letting me know, am I good with all this stuff? Extra pair of hands. Extra pair of hands, extra head, unmasked where applicable. Weapon slash accessory. That makes sense. I don't know how else to word that. Is everybody good with what I've got on here so far? I want to make sure that we're kind of nailing this, that when this goes out to these guys, we're not going to miss a beat. Ray, yeah, throw the toe hinge in there too. Fully articulated figure. You know what? Since we're saying 25 to 30, let's go ahead and say throw that toe hinge in there. Let's see, articulation. Let's see, construction. Jaded Toys, SF2, plus toe hinge. Okay. Now, let's see what you've got there, Star. All right, maybe variations of time in some figs, early version of Batman, and then old man Batman, young Superman to elderly Superman, etc. Mezco did something like that for their Batman figs in 112. That was really cool. I was tempted to pick up some of those because of that. So I know what you're saying. I wonder, I want to be careful about going super deep with suggestions. Like, I love that idea, and I could see a box set of that kind of thing for, I don't know, 75 to $100, where they do Batman through the ages. And so we would get maybe one of the early, like a 1930s or 40s Batman. We'd get maybe a Silver Age or modern Batman. And then maybe, you know what? Okay, here we go. 30s or 40s Batman, Neil Adams Batman, Kingdom Come Batman. Like there's a box set that would be awesome, I think. But are you talking something like what I just described, or are you talking something that's more out of, I guess, the imagination of what's going on with Mattel? Kind of like what Mezco did. Ray, they have so much to work with later in the line. Elseworlds, Vertigo, New 52, etc., etc. That's true. I mean, DC is so rich with character selection. You know, the people that are going to be working on this line are salivating at the possibilities. I'm actually jealous. Like, I don't know what DC's demands or what Warner Brothers demands are going to be. It sounds like Marvel has real demands on quantity of figures, which is why so many have to be produced every year by Hasbro. So I don't know. I'm hoping that Warner Brothers doesn't have those crazy demands and we don't get sick of seeing just all kinds of repaints that seem kind of rushed, you know? I'm hoping that the people behind this line get to really put their heart and soul into nearly every figure. We know they won't be able to with every figure, but if they could just do it with half the figures, I would be so stoked. But that's going to come down to what Warner Brothers is demanding as far as production. Star, your first suggestion, the various appearances. Got it, Star. Thank you. Thank you. That's, yeah, that would be, I would love that. I would love that as like a set. Absolutely. No shortage of choice. Facts. All right, guys. So this is what we've got so far. Am I missing anything? That's the key part here. Is am I good to go? Are we totally good with what we got? Is there anything that you're looking at right here and saying, whoa, whoa, let's make sure and get that in there as well? Or are you guys pretty happy with what I've got listed so far, with what we've put together? Because I want to make sure that we've got everything, we've left no stone unturned. I want to make sure that when this actually gets drafted, and we might work on drafting a little bit tonight here. I don't know that we'll get the full thing written, but I want to make sure we've got all the bullet points figured out before this gets put all over the internet. So anyway, sorry, Mom Pix just showed up and tried asking me questions in the middle of this.
I just want to know what you're drafting.
Mom, we are drafting a letter to Mattel about what we want from DC figures.
Oh, good idea.
Yep. And we want to make sure it's thorough. Has anyone mentioned paint jobs yet? Mattel seems to be a bit heavy-handed in the past. What do you mean, Star? Is it globby or is it too much? We haven't brought up paint jobs, no. So let me know what you're talking about. Let's see, even the new stuff, Absolute Universe. Can you imagine? Okay, I have not read that new Batman that everybody's talking about, but it looks like a beast. Like that's the Batman Alan Richson needs to play. Like that thing is massive. If they did, I think that's Absolute Batman. Am I right? Can you imagine Mattel doing or anybody doing an Absolute Batman? What kind of monster action figure that thing would be? Ray, I would like to see them do 100 bullets. Oh man, 100 bullets, Watchmen. That would be amazing. Oh yeah, they'll have to get variations like the absolute versions in there. That's ridiculous. But it would be so cool. Feels to me to be too heavy, no subtlety, especially on the faces. Ah, so maybe what we should suggest is inkjet printing on their faces. Because what we saw when it came to those figures that we were looking at, the WWE and the Masterverse figures, they did look a little almost gloppy, didn't they? Let's try that. Inkjet printing on faces. All right. So we got that. And maybe, is there anything else like What else do they do? I know that well, I shouldn't say I know. I believe that a lot of tattoos are inkjet printed, but I don't think there are tons of DC characters with tattoos. But tell you what, inkjet printing on faces, tattoos, etc. Kind of inkjet printing for the finer details. Maybe that's what I should say. There we go. Let's go with that. For faces and other finer details. All right, Ray, I still think Wonder Woman and Green Lantern would hold their own wave. They might, you know what? I think they would hold their own wave. I just don't know that they want to go that heavy. I mean, we've got them in wave one. I think they'd crush it. I'm I'm really excited about what we've typed up so far, to be very honest. Let's see. Star Wars Black Series is a great example of what I'd like to see avoided. You know what, Star? Let's say I agree with you. Any diecast for a premium line? Would there be what diecast would there be? Like I don't know that you'd want diecast for vehicles, for instance, right? And the reason I say that is it would make shipping heavier, which would add to the cost of that adds to the cost of the figure overall or the vehicle overall is shipping from Vietnam or China or wherever things are coming from. Adding that weight is going to add to cost. So I don't know. Where would we? I mean, if we need diecast, absolutely. And maybe like we were talking about the robot Brainiac, where I brought up maybe just a regular silver painted one for the main line and then a chromed out one for an exclusive. Maybe a diecast one for the exclusive would be crazy cool. But I don't know. But I do like that. And I will put something, let's see. The Metal Men could be diecast. Man, can you imagine? The price would be crazy, but I'd be all for it. Robot Man. Good Lord, man. You've got them all figured out. Steel? Oh, no. I wouldn't want to do that to Steel. Steel's too cool. Can you imagine the amount, like what Steel would cost for that? Hang on. Okay, I'm going to add something here, Star, to what you said. Avoid lines. How do we word this without being jerks to Hasbro necessarily? Avoid the construction seen in lines such as and I know the Marvel Legends take isn't popular. At this point, guys, think about Marvel Legends. They've been around since 2002. It's a 25-year or a 23-year-old line now. The line itself is nostalgic. That's why it's able to run on fumes and run on things that aren't updating. So I think really they get to rest on their laurels because so many people have been collecting it for so long that they don't feel they need to do anything to make them up to snuff. I think Mattel needs to avoid that trap. But what do you think of the verbiage there on the avoid stuff? Star, Wonder Woman's bracelets and tiara, chest emblems on Batman, Superman, accessories in diecast. I wonder about that kind of thing. That's a cool idea. And it wouldn't add something like Wonder Woman's bracelets and tiara wouldn't add tons to shipping, I wouldn't think. Chest emblems on Batman, Superman. I don't know about, like, if you're talking the tights versions of Batman and Superman, it's almost like those emblems were stitched. They weren't so much metal. It would depend almost on which version of the character they were going to do, I believe. Accessories and diecast. When we talk about accessories, are we talking things like guns? Ray, sorry, I'm so hyped for this line. The potential is there. I hope they do right by all of us. Ray, I do too. I love Mofex, as LBZ pointed out on one of my posts. He said, but I thought you were a Mofex snob. I am. I love Mofex, but that's because Mofex is giving us construction that the only domestic plate lines, well, I shouldn't say domestic. I think Jada is technically foreign. They just have domestic offices here. But the only lines really that are giving us what Mofex has given us in this $25 to $30 price point is Jada Street Fighter 2 and G.I. Joe Classified. And if they can hit that, oh, that would be so exciting. Create a smaller line of quality, avoiding cutting corners. I think that's where the figs run into trouble. The problem with that, Star, like one, I 1000% agree with you. So it might not be a problem. Like I said, I think Marvel Legends has to pump out as many figures as they do because of their contract with Marvel. There was something said along the lines. I think it was Shartimus was interviewing one of the guys, and he said what he'd like to see is fewer characters with better quality, and they straight up said they can't. Now, I don't remember, I'm sitting here saying that was a Marvel licensing thing. I don't remember if that's due to what Marvel insists on or if it's due to what Hasbro insists on. I would say it's more likely due to what Marvel insists on, just based on the fact that G.I. Joe doesn't pump out near as many figures a year as Marvel Legends does. So, all that to say, I don't know what Warner Brothers' contract is with Mattel as far as you must pump out this quantity of figures every year. Like, if they only have to put out, say, 50 figures in a year, I think that we would have all kinds of quality. If, however, they have to put out 150 characters a year, then I think they're going to dip. It's just the way it is. So I'm hesitant to add that into the suggestions simply because we don't know what the stipulations are as far as the contract is concerned in that way. Avoid waste swivel. Facts. Facts, Brian. And thank you for joining the live stream. I appreciate it. Yep, ball peg waste for sure. Batman's belt slash tools could be die cast. Oh, like a batarang too. But you're right about the belt. I'm wondering, see, if they do too much of that, that's going to be more sculpting and separate pieces that'll add to the cost. So forget the fact that it's die cast and just think about the fact that it's more sculpting, more tooling, more all that stuff. I don't know. I feel like if we start adding a lot of metal to this stuff, it's going to increase the price. It's going to go beyond the 25 to 30 if we want them to include extra hands and an extra head and accessories. Ray, oh heck no, Dave. Joe Line just started slowing its roll. It was out of pocket last year. I mean, there were a lot of figures, Ray, but it wasn't 150 figures. That's what I'm saying. I was about to dip myself out of the Joe Line. I mean, it was getting stupid. I mean, there were a lot for sure. I just need them to have more hands. Please have more hands. I really want soft goods capes that carry a dramatic feel. I want a Batman cape that folds all the way around the fig, akin to his appearance in the comics. Capes just on the back is a no-go for me. So something where the cape comes to like a point, or I'm sorry, the cowl would come to a point and the cape would start at that point. So then if it's wired, you could bring it over the shoulder like that. I would love that, Star. That's just getting really specific. And I don't know, we might be able to fit that in somewhere. All right, guys, we've got quite a bit to go on. Why don't we, instead of actually writing it, I'll type it up. And what I'll do is I'll share it on my Patreon page and I'll make it free to everybody. So it'll be anybody that wants to go to the Patreon page can go ahead and look at it. And if there are any suggested changes then go ahead. You can become a free member of the Patreon. You can go there and you can suggest those changes once I write the letter, and then I'll make sure and get it out to Mattel. But right now, what I want to do, and I'll make sure and let everybody know the letter's there. What I want to do before that is I want to come up with a wave 2 so we can show them what we're talking about when it comes to reuse and let's see, potential, let's see, like the hero slash villain in one wave, then opposite in next wave, that kind of thing. So why don't we do first wave 2 with 4 figures. Okay, we have, actually, let's just say Joker. Then for that, Superman, repaint of Batman. Then we have Cheetah. And then GL, or no, not GL, hello, Sinestro. Maybe. Do we want to do that? You know what? Let's do Flash instead. Okay, so that would be 4 figures. Now we'll copy that for wave 2 with 6 figures. And then we've got Flash, which is a repainted GL. And the others we have there, we have Blue Beetle and we have Black Manta. So why don't we add, I mean, how can we not add Booster Gold, who could be another repaint of GL? And let's add Aquaman, who could use parts depending on how big you want your Aquaman to be. Is everyone good with these? And that'll help me explain the reuse potential and the repaints and all that stuff. Are you guys good with these figures? Sorry, I'm going back. We're seeing what's up. Star, please have them anchor the wire for the cape into the body. Capes need an anchor point. That is true. That is very true, Star. I will type, tell you what, let's go to that right now. Wired capes, anchored to figure. All right, that was a great call, sir. I appreciate it. Let's see. Ooh, Dr. Fate. That might be a good call too, Brian. We could throw Dr. Fate in there instead of, let's look for a sec. I mean, Blue Beetle goes well with Booster Gold, but we could tease Booster Gold a little further out, and Dr. Fate could still be a repaint of Green Lantern. Yeah, maybe that helps tease him a little further out. Why don't we do that? I kind of like that call. Okay. And of course, at the end of this, I'm going to put something like, oh, and I'll take the photos if you guys want, because I'm shameless like that. Let's see. Also, the packaging. Oh, see, Ray, I don't know what's wrong with me. I never think of the packaging. Oh, Deathstroke. Manstar, so many cool Batman and Teen Titans villains. Yeah, that's something we haven't even touched on the Teen Titans. We haven't put Nightwing in there. Wow, and that would probably be another GL reuse. Let's make them card backs or something even cheaper to save us the cash and the price. I am down. That is perfect. That is perfect, Ray. I love it. Cyborg. Oh, yeah. Cyborg needs to jump in there. And which GL? Do we go, we could make a John Stewart GL? Because I started thinking about that. We just put Green Lantern. We didn't specify which one. And Jon Stewart might be like, I know about more about the Jon Stewart version than I do the Hal Jordan. So that might be the one that I jump in there with too. Okay, hold on. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, packaging. Good call. Good call. Packaging simple card backs to save money for the figures. Because honestly, I'm one of those guys that if something got shipped to me in just a plain cardboard box, I would be happy. Truly, like I don't need the packaging to be awesome. I want all the money to go to the figure. Unless, of course, you're getting file cards, which is infinitely cool. So that's what we've got, ladies and gents. And I don't know that there's anything else we need to put on this. So, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type up a letter from this. I'm going to put it on the Toypixx Patreon. All you have to do is sign up to be a member. You can sign up to be a free member. There's a $3 tier, a $5 tier, and a $10 tier. Either the free tier or any of those paid tiers will work. You'll be able to comment on this as long as you're a member and just let me know what you'd like to see changed in the letter when the letter is changed. The only thing that is totally not going to change on this letter, no matter what people say, is I'm going to suggest me for taking the pictures. That's it. That is unchangeable. I would totally take the pictures for something like this. I do want Swamp Thing, not a typical superhero, but he's still cool. Oh yeah, for sure. Star, I am so with you. Like I think we all want all this stuff. Swamp Thing is one of those characters that's so weird too. He probably would be somebody who would sell. Maybe not in the first. I mean, he's such a crazy deluxe. You know what? I don't want to think along the lines of deluxe figures, but let me throw in. I'm going to type this just as a possibility. Okay, two possibilities. Dang it. Okay, one last question before we hang it up. In wave one, let's say they're going to do a vehicle for us. They're going to be that cool. They're going to say, you know what, we're going all in. It's going to be a Batmobile. You can't come up with, I dare any of you to come up with a more well known vehicle in DC than the Batmobile. You can't do it. But there's so many versions of the Batmobile. My last question of the night, which version of the Batmobile do you want to see? Clankatron, I think having a separate deluxe option will be better for certain characters. I think you're right. I think Swamp Thing definitely fits that too. So there it is. Which Batmobile? Like, honestly, as crazy as it sounds, the first Batmobile that jumped into my head was the '84 Superpowers Batmobile. Can you imagine how cool that would be, especially if their first Batman was Neil Adams style? I would be so stoked to see an '84 Superpowers Batmobile. I'm sick like that. But at the same time, I think my favorite Batmobile of all time is the '89 version, but it needs to have two seats. Brian, no Wonder Woman jet? I mean, we talked about that. Just sell Wonder Woman in a really big box and say it comes with the invisible jet. I think we'd be good. Star, the Tumblr version. Okay. I like the Tumblr too. I know it's not everybody's fave, but I think the Tumblr is pretty cool. Okay, let's just type Tumblr. 89 and oops, 84 superpowers. And what I'll do is when I make this letter, I will ask people, this will be the main question, which Batmobile would you want to see in this first deal? Are there any others that would be up for consideration? We've got the Tumbler, the 89 Batmobile, and the 84 Superpowers Batmobile. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Tick, tick, tick. So those are going to be the options. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you a ton for taking the time to hang out on this live stream tonight. You could have done anything else, and you chose to spend it here. Hopefully, what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to write something that is persuasive and not mean in any way and logical so they can understand what we're thinking. So it's something they can look at and say, wow, we really could do this, and I think people would buy it. Hopefully, that's what I want to see. So, like I said before, I'm going to type this up. I'll put it on the Patreon. Just join the Patreon as a free member or any of the paid tiers. If you get the $5 Grande tier or higher, you will get to enter the monthly photo contest for prizes. Just saying. But if you join any of the Patreon tiers, you'll be able to comment on the letter when it's done so I can make edits before I send it out to social media and Mattel. So thanks again for stopping by, and until next time, have fun, happy snapping. See ya. This is